Greetings and hello. My name is Sean, also known as Rob Hagen in certain circles, and this is day 26 of my 2020 VEDA challenge. VEDA being vlogging every day in the month of April. So, as you can see, I'm wearing a bit of a silly hat. There's a story behind this hat. There's also a story behind one of the things I'm going to talk about today. Since about, I would say, about 2008, 2009, I've LARPed. My first time going to any kind of LARP was going out to a convention on Long Island near me and doing a Cthulhu LARP. I'd never LARPed before. That up to that point, mostly my RPG experience has almost all been tabletop and play by post type of stuff, but more traditional role playing. It was okay. I felt that we were kind of boned. If I remember correctly, my character ended up putting himself in a protective circle as evil half-fish cultists attempted to kill him. As you do. Now, granted, that didn't completely spoil me on the idea. I ended up, a couple of years later, doing another Cthulhu LARP. I did some stuff in between, but really when I went back to one of my local conventions that I was starting to go to regularly every year, I started doing the Cthulhu Live, and from there I jumped into a friend was running a Dresden Files LARP. I played, did a Battlestar Galactica LARP for a number of years, and so forth and so on. Now, for the most part, my experiences were primarily parlor LARP, or things you can play in a room, and what you see is what you got. No physical contact, really, unless permission was granted, and that parlor LARP. I never did any of the Mind's Eye or Vampire or any of those types of LARPs. They were never really jumped out at me as something to do, and years later, hearing some stuff, I still don't have any inclination. But I had friends who did weekend LARP, where they would go off into the woods and spend a weekend in character, full immersion LARP. And I'd been wanting to try it for, when I finally went, about 2 years. And a couple of years, about 5 years ago this July, I said, sure, I'll take the plunge. And I did. Might have actually been 6 years ago. I'm not sure. It was 5 or 6 years ago. It was definitely a while back. And I went. The bar I went to is one called Dystopia Rising. They have a number of different games and franchises across the country. They used to have one up in Canada too, but that closed. I never got to go to anything other than the local game and when they were holding national events at the site where my game was. I did that for 2 years, about 2 years running, just about every month. I don't think I missed a month for most of that 2 years, year and a half, and I had a good time. One of the reasons why I stopped going, my financial situation changed. Now that I think about it, yeah, my financial situation definitely changed. And it became a situation where my job was costing more money to get to. And honestly, I made a choice and conscious effort that I had to save money. And that was one of the first things. Now, I've done another, since then, I have gone, for a couple of months, I went back to a different LARP. Not like Dystopia Rising, which was very much so still, it was very post-apocalyptic, zombies, stuff like that. This one was a Weird West LARP, but I ended up stopping going there too. Again, same reason, money became a thing. But going back to Dystopia Rising, another reason why I stopped going is a lot of my friends who were going stopped going. And part of my thing was I don't really want to go if I don't know anybody there. And it's not that I didn't know anybody there. It's just there was a thing. I was doing this with my friends. I was having a good time, and so I fell out. Uh, this is like a kind of a artifact of my days. This is not. This is actually the second patch I had made because the game I was playing, I was part of a gang called Empire. Um, yeah, did that like I said for about 2.5 years. I bought a bunch of at the time. They did have a tabletop role playing game. It was encouraged that getting the role playing game supplements would give you more information about the world, and I have a few saved on my computer somewhere or on my phone or some device, and I enjoyed it. I enjoy LARPs in general. I am these days much more comfortable in a parlor LARP situation where I can do costuming or I can do props, but I don't feel the pressure of putting up a lot of money. Uh, I say a lot of money for me, the amount of money I was putting up to get there and pay for my entry and buy food and everything. Like I said, that's one of the reasons why I cut it out because I couldn't afford that every month. So I've kind of stayed on the periphery of that community. I have friends who are still playing it. I might go back. I have a very strong itch to go back to do that, but it definitely will be it won't be a monthly thing. It'll be once every couple of months because I'd have to take time off from work to do it, and I had to put money aside for it. But I hope to go back someday, some kind of weekend LARP, because in the current situation, not going to happen because nobody's running anything. But one of the things that has come out of that, because I have friends who were heavily involved in it on various different levels, is a couple of years ago, Onyx Path and the owners of Dystopia Rising, at least the IP, came to an agreement, and they decided they were going to produce a new edition, a new tabletop game. I backed it because I had friends who wrote for it, and I like to show my support, and honestly, I don't have a problem doing that. So about 2 months ago, uh, my physical copy finally came in. It is based on the story path system that Onyx Path uses for a lot of their games. It's also not the only thing I've backed by them. I think I mentioned before I backed a new version of Aberrant. And again, if you're familiar with, I would say the more classic White Wolf system, it's very similar. And I've had a chance to go through it a little bit. I haven't gone in depth to it because I'm not actively playing any games of it or planning to run it right now. So it's good. I enjoy it. It's a very different animal from the previous RPG, which in a lot of ways from everything I've picked up on it, was an after the fact thing. It was primarily a LARP, and the RPG was there so they could do world information and make money on the side. I'm probably being cynical about that. I'm probably wrong, but it was not the primary focus of the people who did the LARP. And this new edition is really good. I enjoy it. It is, again, I can honestly say I've done the exercise of recreating my LARP character in the system, and wasn't that hard. Currently, this is on sale on drive-thru. It was one of their hot sellers, I think, last week or the week before. It's good. If you do play any other story path games, you can use the materials are cross-compatible, if I remember correctly. And yeah, I mean, I don't want to give you a full rundown of what the world is like. Basically, it's post-apocalyptic. It's survival horror, dealing with zombies and raiders and sometimes your fellow strains of humanity. It's no fantasy races. Everybody's a sort of different flavor of humanity, sort of taking certain basic tropes and types into account. When I played the LARP, I played a Baywalker, a doctor. Because at the time I did that, I had not up to that point played a actual support character in a game in a very long time. I tended to, in most of the games I was playing, be they tabletops or otherwise, tended to play somebody who's a bit more not active, but not like healer type. It goes back to having a very bad experience when I first started playing D&D of always being roped into playing the cleric. I kind of developed a bit of a aversion to being the guy in the back. You know, that happens. I often wasn't even as a medic. I was tend to be the first person to run into the middle of a fight to pick somebody up and drag them out and heal them because that's how I played the character. I miss playing that character. I do. Not nearly as much as some of my other LARP characters. Some of them are actually dead, and I can't play again, or the games are not going to get picked back up. But you know, reading this and other things, and knowing some stuff that might or may not happen in the next couple of months, I might go back. Strongly considering going back. But again, I have to make sure everything. Now that I have a roof over my head. I have to focus on keeping this. So we'll see where it goes. The hat, because I know you're going to probably ask about it. That was a hat I wore for a good chunk of time when I was playing the game. It was a gift from a friend. It's a nice shunk type, hat. Leathery. It's a bit worn now. It's a little bit more genre than it was when I originally started wearing it. But it's a good solid hat, and I do miss being part of a group. So I haven't gotten rid of it. I still have some other stuff in my storage that's left over from that time proper to I made, and a few other things. So yeah, just getting back to this, I do recommend it. I will have a link to the drive-through for this so you can see it. And then I'll take you to various other things, and you can just search for it. Yeah, so just a casual bit of talking today. I'm not stressing out over doing stuff today. I'm in a good spot, and I kind of don't want to ruin that. Do have to go to work later, but, that's the thing. So yeah. I think that's a good spot to end today's little video. So, I hope that you're doing well, and I hope that you're feeling well. And until next time, I'll be seeing you, my friends.